Mr. Hohenschelt?
Here.
Mrs. Hune?
Mrs. Hune is unable to make the meeting this evening. She is traveling.
Mr. Reitnauer?
Here.
Mr. Sheets?
Mr. Sheets is unable to make the meeting this evening due to a family conflict.
Mr. Subitz?
Here.
Mrs. Walliser? Mr. Wagner?
Here.
5 present.
All right, and we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Potiger, for recognition.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So the first thing we'd like to do is our new Heights Awards. We do this on a monthly basis. It's an opportunity for us to recognize two staff members. We receive new Heights Awards from parents. They can come from employees. They can come from really anyone that wants to recognize staff members, and we get several of them every month, and then we go through and pick 2 people essentially to be like our employees of the month. And so this month we're excited to recognize 2 employees, and so I'm going to come up here and do some recognitions. Hello. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to read why you were recommended. Becky Miller serves as a paraprofessional aide for one of our kindergarten students who requires a lot of personal care. She goes out of her way to make sure her student is always included and will find ways to help him participate.
Surprise. We have a special guest. Sorry.
To allow him to participate regardless of his capabilities. We feel that this student has met his guardian angel in Mrs. Miller. She is a wonderful asset for our kindergarten classroom. Congratulations.
This is a wonderful surprise. Mrs. Savage coordinated with Williams. It was the best.
Thank you, William. You're the reason I thought. Can you say thank you, Miss Becky?
I just have one more thing to add. It's Becky's first year in the elementary school working with us as a paraprofessional, and we are so fortunate to have her join our team. You could see, I'm going to cry looking at you crying, the love and care that she has, not just for William, but for all of the students that she sees working in Mrs. Savage's room and in the other classrooms throughout the day. You could tell that care and compassion is just through her veins. She's a wonderful, positive person, and I just wanted to thank you for the positive influence you have on everybody that you come in contact with. So thank you. Congratulations.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Savage. Next up, I'd like to recognize Colleen Dreisbach. Colleen, if you don't mind joining us. Colleen is one of our special education teachers in this building in the intermediate middle school. So here is the write-up for Miss Colleen. Colleen is a caring, student-centered teacher that goes above and beyond to ensure all students are successful. As an emotional support teacher, she cares deeply for all her students on her caseload and is a constant advocate to help them achieve at their highest level. Colleen's care extends beyond the classroom. She oversees the after-school weight room, where she works with each individual student to craft an exercise plan to meet their goals. She also helps and facilitates activities during after the school day. Recently, there was a special needs student that was having a difficult day. Colleen did not know the student, but jumped in right into action, talking with the student, redirecting her to get her back to the classroom, and having her smiling and laughing by the time she left. She cares deeply for each and every child and works hard every day to be a positive influence of success.
Thank you,
Colleen.
Andrew. Thank you very, very much.
And Mr. Riggins is going to share a few comments.
So Mr. Potiger hit so many really key points that characterize Mrs. Dreisbach. Student-centered, passionate. I would use the word passionate every time I would speak about Miss Dreisbach, because we have sometimes, you know, it feels like an argument, but it's not. It's just that she shows great passion for our students, and that's what I keep in mind every time I speak to her. And she's coming to me with a concern or a question. It's always because she puts students first. And everything that Mr. Potiger just said and the example that he gave is exactly what she encompasses. And it's something that I wish we had more of in our building. It'd be a lot to have more than one of you in the building, but it would be extremely, it would be so beneficial because she does a great job each and every day she's with us. So thank you. Well done.
It's really kind. Oh, thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So next up, as we transition here, we have another opportunity to recognize, and that's our school board members. January is historically School Board Directors Month, and we always like to take a moment to reflect and thank all of these individuals for representing the school district, for taking time out of their lives, for being the champions for our students, to being champions for our school district, to being champions for our residents. It is a multifaceted role, and ultimately it is there to make sure that we have the best school for our children. And I thank each and every one of you for taking that time, for your willingness to go above and beyond, for putting yourself out there in front of the community, and truly for working with me. It is a pleasure to work with all of you. I tell so many people that I am very blessed to have such a strong, supportive board, and that comes with a lot of mutual respect. And I thank you for everything you do to make this such a great place. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Ward, who has put together a presentation for our school board.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So in recognition of School Board Directors Month, the Brandywine Heights School District would like to thank you for your service and your commitment to helping our district achieve new heights. With each conversation, decision, and vote, you continually keep our student first philosophy, so that they can have positive memories and experiences during their learning journey. So our students at Brandywine Heights Intermediate and Middle School created this video to share their appreciation for all you do for our district. Mr. Noggle and his BBN staff are going to kick off this video. BBN stands for Brandywine Broadcast Network. It is a live broadcast that the students watch each morning. So I want you to please enjoy this video to show our appreciation for your commitment to serve our Brandywine Heights School District. So in addition to the video, Mr. Mark, our STEM education teacher, worked with 8th graders, Erin Hensey, McKenna Swavely, Shelby Fridge, and Eliza Melcher, to create personalized cell phone charging stations for you using our 3D printing technology. So the students and their families are here today, and the students would like to present these gifts to you. So if we could please give our Brandywine Heights School Board a round of applause for their time and commitment to our district.
Thank you, Mrs. Ward. So, students, the ones that helped make these, did you guys actually make these? Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to tell them a little bit how you actually did it? Did you have to design it? You sat up front, so now you have to talk.
Okay, so I'm kind of nervous, my bad. So we just have this program where we go and we just make things and create things, and then Mr. Mark will go into what we created, and he'll just log in and he'll click print, and it'll go to the printer, and it'll just print. And it usually takes about like 13 hours to print.
I was gonna say, how long did it take for these to be made?
Probably maybe up to 13 hours, especially like the bigger ones.
And when you went into that computer program to design it, how much of the design did you have to do? Was it something that was pre-made, or did you have to figure out how you wanted it?
Some of us like figured it out. There's like, you could you could go in and like see different things that people have created and use it as your idea as well, but you can create something of your own as well. So,
Great job. Thank you for being on the spot. You did a great job. So thank you, school board members. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to the intermediate middle school for putting that special presentation together and the little gift that you guys have. And now you can stick your phone on there for tonight.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We'll turn it over to the student board representatives.
For the elementary school, kindergarten registration will be open January 22nd. If you have a child that will be turning 5 years old on or before September 1st, they're eligible to enroll for kindergarten next year. All information will be posted on our website. This Friday, January 12th, our PTC will be hosting a dance-a-thon in the afternoon in the elementary school gym. Feel free to put on your dancing shoes and join us from 12 to 3. Dancers and volunteers will need to have clearances on file. On January 29th, our elementary school students will celebrate the 100th day of school. We will have a fun-filled day, counting to 100 in many different ways and doing tons of math activities.
This month's Spirit Week is from January 22nd through January 26th. On January 22nd, it's Wear Winter Hats and Scarves Day. January 23rd is Wear White Day. January 24th is Wear Something That Reminds You of Warm Weather Day. The 25th is Wear Your Favorite College Shirt Day. And the 26th is Wear Your Favorite Color Day. As a district, we donated 65 boxes for the food drive in December. The Middle School Student Council is also working on motivational quotes to hang on the stairs to encourage the IS and MS students. For the IS, they have their dance-a-thon on January 12th. In 4th grade, they just got their chick eggs, and they should be hatching on January 23rd. In fifth grade, students learn about the water cycle. They are also starting their novel, Number of the Stars. In the middle school, on January 11th and 12th, the Winter Keystones will be taking place. January 12th is the last day of the second marking period. There will be no school on January 15th. And then on January 16th, the ski club will take a trip to Bear Creek. On the 26th of January, we will have an early dismissal. And lastly, the MS Student Council made candy bins to show their appreciation for the school board.
For the high school, first and foremost, a large thank you to the school board of directors for all that they do for us on behalf of the high school staff and students. Prior to winter break, first period classes engaged in our annual holiday door decorating contests with some excellent creativity. The high school wraps up the second marking period this Friday, and the second semester begins on Tuesday with some students beginning new classes for second semester courses. Our FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, held their regional competition right before break. We had 22 students compete and 21 members placed, with 17 going on to state competition later in Hershey. The course recommendation and selection process is beginning as students have conversations and prepare for what they would like to take next year. In athletics, winter sports are officially in full swing. Girls basketball currently has a record of 6 wins and 5 losses. Tonight they are playing Kutztown at the high school. Boys basketball currently has a record of 3 wins and 7 losses, and their next game is tomorrow, also against Kutztown. Girls wrestling has been to 2 invitationals, and this past weekend, 6 girl wrestlers placed in their tournament. Boys wrestling has a record of 1 win and 2 losses, the Bullets having been to 4 individual and team invitationals so far this season. And the high school bocce team has their very first match tonight.
Thank you, ladies. Great job. I have one other recognition. Thank you. This is from the teaching staff. Last meeting we were together, we talked about, it was right before the holidays, of doing a nice little gathering and recognition for all our staff. And we did a luncheon for them the day before we left for break. And so from our teaching staff, they did thank you cards. So I'll pass those around during the course of the meeting there.
Thank you very much. Any public comment relative to the agenda? Hearing none. Move on to the board of directors report. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
Motion right now.
Second.
Thank you.
So a couple items on the board of directors report. We have the meeting minutes from last meeting, which was December 7th, and that is 2 meetings together, the reorganization as well as the regular school board meeting. Any changes or adjustments that need to be made for that? Okay, none heard. Those meeting minutes will stand once approved. We also have the second readings of policies. These were presented at the December meeting. Once approved tonight, will become the official meeting minutes for the school board meeting policies for the school board. There was no adjustments or corrections needed from those from last time in December. We have first reading of policies. There are 6 here this evening. The first 2, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time on. It's the guidance counseling policy. That guidance counseling policy, all these are geared around pupil services or special education. The guidance counseling policy, the first one, had the purpose or that opening paragraph that describes what the policy is, the focus of the policy is all about. There was some wording change to that one to kind of broaden the scope and to really hone in on what our guidance counselors do. When that policy was originally created, guidance counselors at that time look a lot different than what they do now. And so that repurposing and that redirection of what that looks like is really the meat of that change that's in that 112 policy. The special education policy, that's a small change, and all that change to that policy focuses on when there's a section called recording of minutes of meetings, and it specifies what someone has to do to be able to actually go and record a meeting. If you're someone that is going to have a special education meeting and you plan to record that, there's set policies and procedures you have to do. That clarifies that and adds some further stipulations that were recommended from PSBA in that policy. So that's the change there. And then the next set, 113.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4, are all special education policies. They're all recommended changes from PSBA. PSBA comes out with recommendations that are either because of legal changes, things that happened at PDE, maybe new laws that have come out. And so that generates new policy recommendations from PSBA. We read through those based off of what best fits our school district and then curtail that policy for us. And so those recommendations are PSBA ones and really no substantive changes that we have made from the recommended ones. Any questions on those policies? Mr. Reitenauer, thank you for our conversation and helping guide that as your first set of policies in the policy chair position. Next up is committee reports, so I will turn it over to Mr. Biden.
Mrs. Hune, the BCIU, has submitted her report, which is in the link. Mr. Reitenauer, BCTC.
BCTC, we met on December 14th at the West Campus. We got a new program. We got a new agreement with Montgomery County Community College. They are offering community justice, homeland security, and sport medicine programs at BCTC, which is very interesting. BCTC, we are in our second year with the NASA Hunch program. We are hoping to renew that program at the end of it. It's pretty cool. The high school students at BCTC in the NASA Hunch program, they actually get to, I'm losing my word in here. They actually create like computer programs with NASA, and they work hands on hands with NASA, and it's really cool. BCTC was actually one of 3 schools in PA to be elected to have this program.
Right now, if I'm not mistaken, the last year they made a part that went into the space shuttle.
Yes.
So the kids actually designed it, worked with NASA engineers, and then that got installed and it went up into space.
Yes, in the space lockers.
Yeah. So they're doing well, and I forget the part that they're making this year.
I'm not exactly sure. At BCTC, they also did the Angel Tree, which provided 50 families in the Reading community with the Salvation Army to have nice dinners over the holiday break. BCTC, we also had a new organizing of the people. We have a new chairperson. Her name is Karen Freelander. She is from Governor Mifflin. Vice chairperson is Michael Roberts from Antietam. Secretary is John Fiddler from Exeter, and new treasurer David Mull from Schuylkill Valley. And that's everything for BCTC.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So the Berks Earned Income Tax Collection Bureau held their meeting on December 14th. Essentially, this was their reorg meeting. They went over and they run on a calendar year, so they approved their budget for 2024, but also elected their officers for 2024 and recognized some retiring employees. They did have the solicitor's report as well as some updates to their various programs, including BPT. The agenda and meeting minutes are attached. The next meeting will be March 28th.
Thank you.
Hi, so the next meeting isn't until Tuesday, February 13th, and it's going to be with Hannah Barrick from PASBO, which should be interesting because it will be right after, hopefully, the passing of the budget by Governor Shapiro. So it should be probably full of a lot of great information at that point. But Mr. Pottinger did provide us with a lot of that information of what was going to be discussed in the weekly update.
Thank you. Policy committee.
Policy committee, tonight we are having the first reading of policy 112, 113, 113.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4. Second policy reading will be February 5th next month.
Thank you.
Mrs. Eisenhart.
Nothing to report.
Negotiation and Compensation Committee, Mrs. Eisenhart.
Nothing updated. Our meeting this month is January 22nd.
Thank you. Building and Construction Committee.
So just a few updates. I did link the meeting minutes from our last meeting that occurred on December 11th. Just a few updates to give the board. We're going through the application process right now. So we've been working with the Berks Conservation District, the Berks Planning Commission, as well as Longsong Township to go through that process. I went to a meeting with the architect with Longsong Township to go through that planning process. That went very smoothly. There's a second meeting that will occur in February that we'll be attending to hopefully get final approval at the township level for the project. Other than that, we have still been working on the details, things like the sound system, the electrical contracts, scoreboards, a lot of the nitty gritty, as well as finalization of minor tweaks where things are going to be located within that project, softball dugouts and things like that. So it is coming together very well. We will be putting all the final plans together in the next month or two, which will then go out to bid. And so there's a lot of work to get that final plan document. Once that document is ready, that's essentially the project that will be go out for bid. So that, like I said, that'll be in the next month or two to be able to pull that together.
Yes.
Mr. Reitner?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This evening, we have a fairly light agenda for the business and operations report. To begin, we have the bills list. Items A through D are to approve the various fund bills. Item A is to approve general fund for a total of $721,789.71. Item B is to approve food service fund bills totaling $46,706.49. Item C is to approve construction fund bills totaling $0 since last board meeting. And item D is to approve capital reserve fund bills totaling $34,688.89 as attached. Item E is to approve the financial report. You'll see that there are 2 months worth. You'll have October's and November's. We were trying to get caught up, so we're essentially only the current month behind. So you'll have item 1 through 4 are the various fund reports. You'll see the investment schedule, as well as the student activity and trust funds, and there are no budget transfers to report. Item F is special education and pupil services. Item 1 is to approve an addendum to the existing agreement between Brandywine Heights Area School District and ESS Support Services for the Educational Staffing Services Agreement as attached. This is essentially, we've had a good working relationship with them. Rather than go out to bid, we are looking to the opportunity to have the opportunity to engage in 2 one-year agreements with them. So this one, we're essentially approving next year's agreement for 24-25. There's a slight increase, $1 here or there per hour for various employees, employee tiers. Overall, that would be projected about a $90,000 change. It is close to about $1 million contract. That's just to keep that in mind. So the next one is item 2 is to approve for 24-25 the continuation of the Sweet Stevens Katz and Williams contract for special education council matters. You'll see the amounts are broken down. There's essentially a $20 increase from the prior agreement, which was a 2-year agreement. That is also attached. And item 3 is to approve the execution of a subrecipient letter of agreement between the Brandywine Heights Area School District and Lancaster Lebanon IU. This is where we can receive up to $5,000. This is essentially coming from the state, and it's essentially Ms. Kircher's ability to determine various needs of supplies for special education students that we can supply for or submit for reimbursement. So that is attached as well. And I have nothing for G or H. So if anybody has any questions.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Honchel?
Yes.
Mr. Reitner?
Yes.
Mr. Subitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser?
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman?
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passes.
Thank you. Superintendent's report. Could I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved, Eisenhart.
Second, Stewart. Thank you. Floor is yours, Mr. Pottinger.
So a few items under superintendent report. We have the reading of the guidance plan. So the district every 6 years has to create a comprehensive plan. There's some subcategories to that comprehensive plan. One of them is the guidance counseling plan. That got off cycle because some changes that were made at the Department of Education. So we have to reapprove that. Again, it has to happen every 6 years, but we're now only 2 years out from when we just approved this not too long ago. So that's the reason why this is on the agenda tonight. It has to go through an official approval process to be able to submit that back to the Department of Education, which will happen after the approval this evening. Under item B is the approval of the 24-25 school district calendar. That's going to be set up very similar to what we have done this school year. The one change that we made this year was we started our school year instead of on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. That allowed for 3 days at the start of the school year instead of 4 that first week. That seemed to work pretty well for the transition, coming back, doing the get to know yous and handing out books, curriculum, those sort of things. The 3 days seemed to fit better. Some feedback from the staff, they like that better than the 4 days. So that seemed to flow pretty good. So we're going to keep that for this year. Again, pretty much things flow as normal as we have done in the previous year with Labor Day, with some of the in-services, with our conferences being the Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When we get into the Christmas holiday break, very, very similar to this year, where they'll have January 1st and then the day after January 1st, New Year's January 2nd off. And then we'll flow through the course of the year. Once we get into spring break, there is the week plus the Monday for spring break. We do have 3 of those for snow makeup day, and I'll speak to that in a second. And then when we get to the end of the school year, we end on June 3rd, which is a Tuesday. So the one of the reasons that we did January 2nd as a day off as well, one, it was a worked really well this past year. But 2, if we would have that be a school day, that means that very last day would get bumped up and we'd have to bring all the students back on a Monday, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So it seemed to balance itself out pretty well. We are still planning to use the 5 virtual snow days. We're doing that this year. So if there would be a snow day where we would cancel school, we would do virtual school. We would have that be a half day in the morning and 1 common time. So that starts at 8:30 and runs until 11:30. And the reason for that is that if there are students at multiple levels, knowing that there might be childcare issues, all students, kindergarten up to 12th grade, are on the same common schedule and same common time. And it's only set for the morning. So that way it allows us to kids still to be able to be kids. The teaching staff will be available, that if there is someone that's struggling or needs the extra help, the teaching staff can be able to be there and support that student as necessary. So that is set up. We are limited to only 5 of those now. They're called flexible instructional days at the state level. Once we go over those 5 days, if we have more than 5 snow days, then we would start going into these snow makeup days. And that's how that would fall. There is a change that happened at the Department of Education, really at the state level, when the budget was approved in July. There was that long hiatus where they didn't approve the school funding bill, and that just happened in December. When that school funding bill got approved, there were a bunch of laws that were wrapped up into the school funding bill that was passed. One of those was that there used to be a requirement where you have to have 180 student days and 990 hours of instruction. It's now instead of and or. So you have to have 180 days, which is what this is. So we kind of kept everything the same. Or you can do 990 hours. So we are, at this point, the way we calculate the hours, we're about 10 days over than what our hours actually are required at the state level. So it gives us flexibility in the future when we start thinking about snow days, and we could still do the virtual instructional days. And then if it gets to be like a really, really bad winter and there'd be 10 days, we could start to say, okay, let's use the hours instead of the days. And then we don't actually have to make the snow days up in the future. So that's something we're thinking about and kind of evaluating as we go through that. But there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of ambiguity about that. Mr. Pratt and I have both talked about this. We are still waiting for some guidance from the Department of Education on how to handle this. When it was approved in December by the legislators made into law, it took effect immediately, but there's no guidance at the state level on how to apply this yet. And so we're just kind of we're going to approve the calendar as it is, and then we can flush it out a little bit more as we move forward. But I just want to give some updates on where we are with the calendar. Any questions on that?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
Stir the pot a little here.
That sounds great.
The early dismissal days, how do you choose those?
So we try
And
to
why?
do 1 a month.
Yeah.
and we do them on a Friday because it seems to work better for families in terms of
Mhm.
if sometimes they're connected to holidays where people
Yeah,
go
there's
away.
a couple that I'm looking at and what like February. I felt like we always did a President's Weekend, a half day, and then had that Monday off. And here you have it on the 28th.
The 28th.
Yeah. And then the other one, you usually do the half day going into the holiday of break, and it's a week before the week before. And then my other stir the pot is we're gonna come back for one day after Christmas break on a Friday.
That was the challenge. I honestly really struggled with that one about how to best
Yeah.
align that.
Yeah.
My concern with taking the Friday off was just families that were working, and then that's like an extra day to try to find
Yeah.
childcare.
Yeah.
It was
I know.
I was
It
really
is,
I really
it is
struggled with that
funny.
one. It falls really funny.
Yeah.
And then again we thought about, well, let's take away the second then, but then that really messes up the last
Yeah.
day of school.
Yeah. Don't take away this.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be fine with the one day. I just know
Okay,
we're gonna
it
hear
was
so
weird.
many like, really?
The 28th, the February 28th and the February 14th. I know we have done that in the past. I'm not sure
We're doing it
can't
in
remember the rationale.
January over President's Weekend.
Yep.
That's why
Mr. Farina, do you recall that at all? What the reason for the 28th versus the 14th, and do you have a preference?
I believe that change had initially been made due to the addition of the 17th as a professional development day for staff. So do not front load a half day of professional development.
that was my second question. Are they all the half days? Are they in service days? Okay.
I believe that was the initial intent as to why those went that way.
Yeah. What works best for you guys? But that was just those are
Okay.
my observations.
But let me go back on the February one. And then the April 4th. That one I know we have typically. I don't think we typically back that one up to the holiday. There was a break there purposely.
Okay.
I
I don't remember. I
but the
just know that.
February one, I'll take a look at, and that changed this year because the 17th previously was not a professional development day. It was just a day off, and we've kind
Uh-huh.
of flipped some professional development days around with the idea that we do a lot of professional development front loaded in the beginning of the school year. There's a couple days at the end of the school year, but when there's big initiatives, we don't have a good opportunity, a big chunk of time when we can bring all the faculty together. And that's why we decided to do the kind of move things around a little bit and do the 17th as a full day
Mhm.
to help balance that out. The half days are good. That's good opportunity, but it's hard to, because of the schedules, put everyone together. There's only about an hour and a half of time that actually overlaps with when you can put all the staff together for a training. So there's usually about an hour in the beginning where the high school, middle school teachers have training until the elementary kids are dismissed. Then you have about an hour and a half when everyone's together. And then there's about an hour at the tail end of it when the high school, middle school teachers leave. And then you kind of have the elementary teachers there until they're dismissed. So. The final thing under superintendent report this evening is the program of studies. So this is annually approved by the school board. The program of studies is an outline of all the different courses that are available at the high school level. It is annually approved by the school board, and this will then become the driving force or the driving factor for all our students from 8th grade currently up through 11th grade to pick the classes for next year. This outlines all the different course opportunities that are there. Mr. Jinish does a really nice job of going through this, and then he gives a one-page summary of what those changes are from year to year. So I'm going to ask Mr. Jinish to join us to share some of those changes that are in the document, as well as just an overview of the program of studies for this coming year.
Thank you. I was told to use the microphone. Good evening, everybody. So today was the actual kickoff to what is the high school scheduling process. And it is one of the most important processes that we use for our 8th graders that are incoming 9th graders, and then our 9th to 10th, 10th to 11th, and 11th to 12th, because it helps set them up for courses. So our program of studies is a 74-page document that we share. It has a lot of different information in it for it. We piece it out for the students, everything from academic information to how we calculate GPAs to the pathways that we provide. But the most important piece of the document is the courses. And that actually is originally it was one of the more intimidating pieces of being high school principal, but now it's so collaborative to work with our guidance department, our department heads, Mr. Farina and Miss Connect in the C&I department, to really make a collaborative document that helps give our students opportunities. And so today we got to present to the students about how the process would work. And then upon your approval of our program of studies, we'll be able to share with them this document that they can choose their courses from. So 74-page document total. And then I shared with you just the 10 pages of changes that we made. Some big highlights this year are we've actually had such interest in some of our courses, our guitar course and in our theater course, that we've been able to level them to make a level 2 so that students can continue on that program and not just take it once and be done. And then obviously the biggest highlight and the largest lift for us collaboratively and per Mr. Farina's discussion with you last month is our agriculture program. So we'd be able to offer 4 brand new courses for our students regardless of year, and it will be the foundation of what will be a really exciting ag program for our students. So all told, it's a really good opportunity to give our students that opportunity. This is also the first program of studies where all of our classes need the same number of credits in order to graduate. I don't know how many sitting board members we have from 4 years ago when we approved our graduation requirements, but it has taken until now to make sure that every student 9th grade through 12th grade is currently under the same level of requirements. So to go from that 26.6 credits that we used to have to the 25 in the 2 courses. So we finally have one big chart instead of 2, 3, 4 charts that are there. So thank you very much. Pending your approval, we'll be able to roll it out to the students. We spoke of it today to every class in our auditorium, and then we'll be able to give them this information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jinich. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
For some of the advanced placement classes, do we know, like, how do we determine whether they're a virtual instructor or whether they're in person?
So are you looking at specific ones?
One in particular was just, I had a student ask me about the American government one, just because I think was it virtual this year, and they're wondering what it would be next year.
So if I have enough students who request to take
That's what I was gonna say.
what I can do is I can offer that class with a physical teacher.
Okay.
With government was that here, and being honest, it was because of that, right? That us, I'm asking Mr. Pottinger to run a section of 5 kids where that would become financially feasible. So and I spoke with the students today. Everything tends to be opportunity based for them. If they want to take that course, I'm request there, I'll have a physical.
Is there a minimum requirement to get a virtual teacher, or if you?
I meet with Mr. Pottinger every year in about March before our budget staffing. And if I have a class that's getting close, we work through that pretty collaboratively to kind of see what we could do and what would be best for the kids.
So if we only have like 2 kids that want to take an AP course, do we still offer to them virtually,
We
or
do.
do they? Okay.
Yeah,
We still are just giving
Mrs.
them.
Hunter is very helpful in finding those courses, and if we have students who are interested, we usually target the students to find that virtual for that course.
That's actually been one nice part about the virtual academy, because otherwise we would have to say, no, sorry, you have to wait till next year. And now they can have that chance to still take it. And usually our cutoff, we try to keep our classes around 20, 15 to 20 is kind of the just because things shake out a little bit different. Sometimes it goes over 20, sometimes it's a little bit closer to 15. When it gets under 15, that's when Mr. Jinich and I start to evaluate that, like what do we need to tweak there. And then there's some parameters that go along with that. Advanced placement classes, ones that are sequential. So you might do like let's just say a language, and you get to the 4th year language. Like that's one that we would probably run unless there's some really unique circumstance that would not allow it, only like 1 or 2 students. Sometimes what we'll then do is we'll combine the section 3 and the section 4 together to still allow that opportunity for the student, or in some circumstances, especially when it gets to 5 and under, then we'll look to see if there's virtual opportunities and provide that opportunity for the students.
I like that you added in 10th grade being able to register for the music theory AP course and trying to get more numbers and more AP classes. So I thought that was really
And then, so your original question was like, how do we determine it? So that's really the number and specifically that question. Another piece of that goes into the certifications from teachers, because there is a vetting process that has to happen with the with RAC or another institution to allow us to be able to run a dual enrollment AP class, as well as just from the AP world, they have to be validated through the AP process. So that all kind of comes into play. And so if we don't have someone, if there's a specific course we want, or the students want, and we don't have that, that could be another factor for why we would go the virtual route. Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions? Hearing none, take a roll call, please.
Mr. Reinauer,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser, Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschildt,
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman,
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passes.
Moving on to personnel report. Could I get a motion and a second?
Second students.
Let you guys go. Couple items under the personnel report this evening. We have 4 retirements. Mrs. Lori Angstadt, who is a social studies teacher with the school district for many years, and we'll do more recognitions and thanks to these employees. But we acknowledge her retirement, which is exciting for her as she takes on the next step in life. Mrs. Karen Long, who's served in different capacities with the school district as a now currently a first grade teacher, is going to be retiring. Mrs. Brenda Hovis, who is a elementary school learning support teacher, is going to be retiring. And our final one, Mrs. Linda Lyman, who has been here for 36 years as a teacher and currently a 4th grade teacher, is going to be retiring. So exciting for those folks as they kind of turn the next chapter in their life. A lot of history and a lot of great teaching that will be lost for us as a school district, but we do wish them the best of luck. And again, we'll have a chance to more formally recognize them as we get closer to the end of the school year. We have an appointment this evening. Miss Paige Rohrbach is with us. Paige, she is currently a student at Penn State University going for her ag degree. She started her student teaching now, and she'll be graduating in May. And so we went through a interview process. Miss Rohrbach came in as the best qualified candidate for the position. We're really excited to be able to offer her this position, recommend her to the school board. She comes to us with obviously a lot of experience at the collegiate level as she was learning to become an ag teacher, but also as she went through her high school career, she went to Ole and went through the ag program there. And when you talk with her, wow, she knows so much about the whole ag program, and the opportunities she's going to bring to our students are going to be phenomenal. So a great opportunity for our school district to have her and have her expertise for our students and our program as we start that. So this will be a new position. It's a new position tied to obviously the new program. That program was presented in December. And then the reason we did that is so that we could go through the interview process and then be able to have someone in place for now in January. So congratulations, Ms. Rohrbach, for your recommendation this evening. We also have a few co-curricular appointments here that are on the agenda this evening. And then finally, there is a leave for an employee that is out on medical leave through February 2nd. Any questions on the personnel section? Ms. Rohrbach, would you like to say anything to the board? Put you on the spot. Sure. The reason we use the mic is we live stream our school board meetings, and that's the way to be able to listen to someone in live stream.
Okay. So I just want to say thank you. Obviously, ag has been a huge part of my program, and I can honestly say without my ag teacher, I wouldn't be here. Definitely Ole Valley FFA is what put me in this position. And I will say today, I got to spend the day at the farm show with the FFA convention, midwinter convention, and I got to watch almost 1,000 new FFA members put on their blue corduroy jackets for the first time, and also got to watch new chapters get chartered. So hopefully next year at this time, we will have a Brandywine FFA chapter. That is the goal. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm excited for what's coming forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Subitz,
Yes.
Mrs. Walliser,
Yes.
Mrs. Eisenhart,
Yes.
Mr. Hohenschildt,
Yes.
Mr. Reitnauer,
Yes.
Mr. Wagaman,
Yes.
6 yeas, motion passes.
Any public comment? Hearing none. Any further board discussion? All right. I do have to make an announcement. We do need to have an executive session after the meeting in regards to personnel matters. Could I get a motion and a second for adjournment?
Second.
Thank you, everyone.
11:57.